Well, hello folks, welcome back to another video from myself, Fraser. As you remember from our last flight, we flew up into Lukla here. We flew into this, this is where I do like Flight Simulator 2024. It is quite cool for this aspect of being able to walk around, and this is really cool. This is the aspect I do like about this game. I mean, once all the aircraft eventually get ported over to the actual all of the add-ons, especially that I have, once it's ported over, I'm sure this is going to be a great game for it. Obviously, that's just fake for us. Anyway, yeah, once all the add-ons get ported over, this is going to be basically full-time on this game. So yeah, here we are in Lukla, as mentioned, the most famous airport in the world for this runway. One way in, one way out, and there's a little right, isn't there? There's a F5 or a T38. Guessing these are Texans, so that's very interesting. But yeah, this is Lukla Airport. Lukla Airport, also known as Tenzing Hillary Airport by my proud Kiwi CM and Hillary, and Tenzing, what's his full name? That's right, Tenzing Norgay. I was actually going to go for Tenzing Norgay too, because it's, as a Kiwi, it's something that you learn in history. The first people that climbed Mount Everest, well, climbed Mount Everest, the first people to summit the mountain, Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary, two great legends, and it's often debated about who actually set foot on the mountain first. Was it Sir Edmund, or did he let Tenzing up the mountain, which selfishly I hope as a Kiwi he did that, because that's what Kiwis do. So here we are, we're going to cover giant. Yeah, and I'm going to remember, oh yeah, there it is, you can see it's dangling. Remove one of these things, make sure all of these bits and bobs are all taken care of. It's a shame, it is such a shame that they haven't done this for the Bell helicopter, because I really do enjoy flying the Bell 206, so it's a shame that they haven't implemented, or unfortunate, which I regard as the flagship product for aircraft at really. I do think like there's nothing like that they've checked that, so they do need to get a bit better with some of the like little ticks and whatnot. Should be a cross, just so you can identify it, like big red cross and little red tick when you've completed it. But anyway, we'll get into this one. Oh yeah. So yeah, they're quite hard to distinguish from that and like a door or something, so if there's one little thing that they do need to do is like obvious things that you do need to check, or like things that are part of the check, they should differentiate them from opening and closing doors. They should have like a little red cross there, so just to make things a bit easier. But anyway, we'll jump into the helicopter Actually, jump out. There was another. Maybe it's like that. Actually, I'll go back out again. There was another little click spot there. What am I doing? I do like this, but it'd be cool to if we go right around the whole aircraft and they stay open. I think they should implement that too, because we go around the other side and we're not too far away. There's another clicks, there's another thing that must just be how this is positioned. Anyway, let's get into this aircraft. Fudge our way through the controls here to start her up. So I've got no idea how to start this up, but I'm just going to turn on all the batteries. All of these switches can all come on. Get it all nice and bright. What else do we need to do? Those are all. See, it's a shame they don't have all of these modelled in the Jet Ranger helicopter array. It's a few things that are. Turn on the landing light, so right, let's get up into this part here. Open the fuel. What it does. Right, we'll start the engine, eh? Looks like it's raising the M1, so that means the engine's starting up. Will start any moment now. There we go, look at that. So you can go from nothing to starting a helicopter, really. There's not much to it. Oh, I turn on the fuel pumps, turn on the motors. Oh, what did I do? Let's try that again, eh? For a moment there, thought that airplane that I heard was in the simulator, but it's outside where I am, so that's... Right, so why isn't this going? Maybe I should turn off the fuel pump. Let's try that again, eh? Take that back from what I said about all of these helicopters, quite easy to start. Let's try that again, folks. Finally turning on. So that's the other way around, so that is sort of weird how they worded. So I'm assuming just set the position to open, so I'm assuming it's in the off position when I read it like that. So that must be, here we go, we're starting up now, so that must be the problem. There you go, that's the sound that we want to hear. About to take off from Lukla Airport. Hope you guys are ready for this drop off the cliff kind of thing. I'm recording my voice through here because there was some issue with how my voice came through the mic. I was just setting up. Yeah, so I was saying I was just having issues setting up my mic for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so the previous recording we did for this flight was not good, but here we are, departing out of Lukla Airport, like I can imagine what many are those lucky enough to take a helicopter flight up to base camp or to the Namche Bazaar, this will be a very breathtaking takeoff flying down the runway there and over the valley of the Khumbu. I'm not too sure that's Khumbu Valley, but this area is Khumbu area. It's basically the gateway to Everest here as we're looking around, enjoying the scenery here. We've got all these beautiful towering peaks. I have to say, flying this versus flying that previous flight we did when we departed out from Lukla and the Trotter. I mean, there's still areas that could really do with a bit of touch up, but on the whole, all of this terrain just looks absolutely stunning when compared to 2020. You know, like 2020 was the benchmark that we thought was that's a nice view coming up through this little valley looking up here to these snow-capped peaks. But yeah, 2020 was what we thought was, you could not get any better than that, and this 2024 is just beyond that out of the water, and they've really got that steep contexturing going. I have to say, folks, I had talked about this when we were doing the walk up the mountain, which we will do when we land at base camp. But I was saying that this simulator could be, not if you're not into your flight simulator, this could be a very great resource for those who love travel, as long as you can master the very, very basics of flying and you have the correct aircraft. You can this 2024 can be so much more than just a simulator for those real nerdy types like myself. This could be a very good tool for people all around the world, different situations, people who love to travel but can't, or for whatever reason, or people that just don't want to travel but want to do this from the comfort of their own homes. Getting 2024 is a really cool little investment. You might need a good laptop too, or a decentish laptop, especially if you're not going to be doing anything more than just going in these generic aircraft and flying around. But definitely highly recommend getting Flight Simulator 2024 for just that aspect of being able to explore the stunning scenery, and also to the great addition to Flight Simulator 2024, that third person jumping out of the helicopter and exploring. That's a really cool feature. You're coming up to the famous, that's a stunning view up there as well. As I would have been rambling away, definitely need to come back here and explore these nooks and crannies, these valleys, so much to explore. And hope this is giving you another option to come explore as yourselves. But we're coming up to Namche Bazaar, which is just above the propeller blades there, and that's the airport. I don't think that airport is actually used anything outside of helicopters now, for those rich, lucky people who decide to take the helicopter to the airport up here instead of trekking this. So yeah, most people would get off at Lukla and then start a 2-day trek up to Namche Bazaar here, which is basically the gateway to Mount Everest. I think, yeah, we land on this little helicopter pad coming up here. Quite a few different little helicopter pads dotted around the area. I'm assuming these would be for hotels or various rescue points, but the airport up there, that's Namche that we're flying over. You can see it's sort of nestled in amongst the that little bit of the and that's so stunning. Nestled on the side of the mountain, it's pretty cool. But yes, that airport is predominantly used for helicopters. I believe Air Nepal and the throttle operators did fly up there at one stage. But it's predominantly just helicopters delivering freight to this little community. Basically the gateway to the starting point for the Everest base camp. And we're going to just I'm just going to go to the next scene to put my voice down, but yeah, we're going to land here. And we're off again. As I said, I had issues with mine. I didn't have my microphone turned up properly when I recorded this, which was a bit of a shame, but it's just a whole lot of rambling on anyway. But yeah, we're flying over the airport for Namche here. It's not as good as it was in Flight Simulator 2020. I think it might have actually been like one of those handcrafted airports for, because I don't remember downloading any add-on, but the one in Flight Simulator looks so much better in 2020. But yeah, flying over the valleys now, the valley leading towards Mount Cook, and then admiring the stunning view in the background there, or the foreground I should say. Yeah, look at that scenery. Like I said, if you're not into heavy planes or anything like that, but you would like to do this, then I'd highly recommend getting just the very basic package and just getting a mid-range computer that can give you some of the scenery without cooking the laptop. But get yourself cheapest package, learn very basic, get a controller, just a basic controller, and get a very basic understanding, and you don't need much at all, and yeah, away you go. The only thing you do need to take into account is some aircraft can't operate at these high altitudes, so you just have to just do very basic googling to plod your way along. But yeah, this is just a stunning location, as you can see.
valley, our base run down, our final run down to sort of where the main valley is that leads into Everest, and we'll be coming into Everest Base Camp very soon. Flying over some wicked scenery up here. You can sort of see that would be a big washout, and I believe this is a massive glacier that starts from here. It's not the famous, what is it? It's not the famous Khumbu ice fall, but it's definitely, you can definitely see classic signs that this is a big glacial system. Just a big, basically just a big wall of basically an ice river just moving gradually down the mountainside and basically carving out that gorge and a few little, they call them glacier lakes up at this altitude. Like I said before, in Ladakh, it would be really, really cool if Asobo can add a few different water colours for different water bodies, like everything from bright blue high altitude lakes all the way down to, you know, your little muddy ponds. But yeah, now we're coming into Everest Base Camp. You can really see the glacier sort of texturing coming out through here. And just above the blades there, just above that dark patch, that's where the infamous Khumbu ice fall starts. I don't know if I landed here. I don't think I did, or did I? I can't remember. But we'll carry on up the mountain. And we are now approaching the Khumbu ice fall that's claimed in many mountaineers here. Their attempts to conquer Mount Everest, or even those who don't conquer Mount Everest, some of them, there are climbers who have just wanted to achieve this feat of climbing over this very, very dangerous part of the climb. Unfortunately, from the sun reflection, it's not really coming out in the, I tried changing the seasons, but that didn't really work, but unfortunately the 2020 there's a bit more texturing down in the glaciers, as we struggle to get above the, above this peak here. I think I used what I sort of made up, a zigzag pattern by just trying to get as much forward momentum as possible and just use the ground effect to zigzag my way, a bit like motoring up over one of those Indian passes. As you can see now, I'm going to zigzag my way up here with some varying degrees of success. Yeah, it's just absolutely stunning part of the world. This. Yep, now attempting to do that zigzag pattern. A bit too much rudder input there, as I'm trying to use this distance in this little valley here to get the helicopter into full momentum and creating lift over the rotors. As we come on around for the base turn, trying to get it speed up, and then I think from here I realised I might have got enough juice in the tank to do it all in one go. And I do believe I touched the rotors up the skids just up here. Yeah, you can see sort of little glacial textures, but it's not as standout as it is on 2020. And after trying so hard to get at least up to the Lutsi Icefall, which is the biggest hurdle, that's just basically a straight ice climb up. This is as far as we could go with our helicopter before it just simply gave up. And this is where we use this great feature, the third person, a thing that they've added into the game when you can walk around. So I try my best to get as far as possible, then I just simply give up, and then I decide, well, it was initially just going to be a base camp, but then I decided, since we're all of this way here, we might as well, as Sir Edmund Hillary once famously said, I'll knock the bugger off. So, and this is as far as I'm ever going to get for climbing Mount Everest. So yeah, we get out here and we start the climb up the mountain. It was quite a cool climb. Towards the top there, we were seeing right through the it's quite cool seeing right through the mountain through the other side, just due to some sort of scenery glitches up there. But I have to say it's really cool, really surreal experience, even in Flight Simulator, being on the top there of the mountain. You're basically on top of the world as you're looking over the Tibet side. Looks pretty cool with the valleys, and even looking back towards Nepal. And we even come across, so you might be able to hear it in the audio, but we came across some very high altitude cows. There must be the yaks up there. But yeah, it was definitely a good climb, and I just chatted about reaching presumably the death zone, which is above 8,000 meters, and anything above that your body can't, no matter what oxygen you have, your body basically just starts breaking down. Really, it can't survive up there with the low air pressure. You can only spend so much up there before your body basically just shuts down. Even oxygen can't survive, keep you alive. And it's probably nothing great. There's probably microorganisms up there, I think we're talking about that, but yeah, this is a pretty cool experience. And we're also chatting about just reiterating what we said just before on this recording, how even if you aren't into flying but you love travelling, or want to travel, you can't travel, this is a great game to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm just going to leave you guys with the walk up the mountain. On our walk back, we're having difficulties getting it off the ground. We're trying to at first try and like wiggle its way down until it could get a bit of oxygen to get going again, but I used a bit of time compression, and that must have given it the little bump it needed. For a while there I thought I was going to have to end the game, but when you look up there you'll see great imagery up here. But yeah, there's a point when I was like, oh, this is not working. This is where we end our flight, but we managed to get it off the ground and headed on down to down the mountain back to Lukla with a pretty good helicopter landing too, I must add. Seeing some lichen up on these rocks here. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, and we'll see you again shortly. Enjoy the rest of the video.
do shift C that makes it straight back down, so we'll probably use that cheek belt. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Strain on the wrist. Here we are, folks. Like I was saying, if you are not into flying by any means, definitely get this game because sometimes that's what happens if you get flying at the top of the mountain. Even if it means just pushing it quite severe. This is graphics, we've made it to the top of the mountain. Like I say, the actual point, like I say, it's so good and really need to do this justice and put in some really good details. I can imagine on the Chinese side they're probably be reluctant to give you data, you can just make it up and you can just use photography and really make this a bit more, But yeah, folks, if you're not into flying, definitely get this tool. Just this aspect alone, you can just research the really good sets. You don't even take it too much, you can just landmarks and all Look at this, guys. One of our first animals. First time seeing animals. 8,000 metres up. Who would have thought we'd have Jersey cows up here? Browse at the summits of Mount Everest here. Snake, isn't it? Like this. Oh, still alive. There you go, folks. Centimetre being the ABC glaciers, tallest mountain in the world, stunning valleys, and we've also seen Jersey cows. That's pretty cool. Alright, let's get back up out of the road, let's get back down to Lukla. Just fly quickly on over there. It'd be cool if you could just like, it's got a sort of fall down this mountain, but it'd be cool if you could just like jump draw the way down. Sorry folks, I wasn't going to go through that whole walk it back down, but we got sort of down a bit, but there you go, there you go folks, we've made it up to base camp, and let's hope this helicopter starts up as well. be Lukla and Lukla. I do hope I manage to get here one day, which I might do this year actually, so I get some footage. Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this video and this part of this journey. Almost at the end now, but we'll carry on. Thanks heaps guys, we'll see you again back at Kathmandu as we fly from Kathmandu to Lukla. Oh, not Lukla, to Shimon National Park. See you guys soon.